You admire the person who can fix everything. The broken phone, the dead car, the family crisis, the emotional collapse in the room. They look calm. They look strong. They look in control. But you never ask what made them that way. Some people do not become fixers because they are confident. They become fixers because once, helplessness was dangerous. Nobody came. Nobody explained. Nobody protected. Nobody said, "Relax, I'll handle it." So the child learned one brutal lesson. If I don't fix it, no one will. And that lesson follows them into adulthood. Now they cannot sit still when something breaks. They cannot relax when someone else is struggling. They cannot watch a problem remain unsolved. Not because they are always generous, because an unfixed thing outside them feels like an unfixed wound inside them. People call them reliable, responsible, strong, useful. But sometimes useful is just a prettier word for afraid. Afraid of being helpless again. Afraid of needing someone. Afraid of standing in a room where everything is falling apart and realizing nobody is coming. So they become the one who comes. For everyone. Every time. They fix the problem. They calm the panic. They carry the burden. They find the answer. And because they are good at it, people stop asking if they are tired. That is the curse of competent people. The world rewards the masks so much that nobody looks beneath it. But there are two kinds of fixers. One fixes because he is curious. He sees broken things as puzzles. He enjoys the movement from chaos to order. He wants to understand. This kind of fixer is alive. But the other kind? The other kind fixes because silence terrifies him. Because if he stops moving, he may feel what he has been avoiding. If he lets someone else handle it, he may have to face the truth. He was never allowed to be helpless. He was trained to be useful before he was allowed to be human. He learned to read the room, to predict danger, to solve tension, to become needed. Because being needed felt safer than being loved. And this is where the tragedy begins. The fixer starts believing his value comes from repair. If he cannot solve it, he feels worthless. If someone does not need him, he feels invisible. If he rests, he feels guilty. If he asks for help, he feels weak. So he keeps fixing, not because everything needs repair, but because fixing is the only identity he trusts. Look closely at the person who always knows what to do. Sometimes that calm is not peace. Sometimes it is old fear wearing a professional face. Sometimes it is a nervous system that learned panic was useless, so it replaced panic with control. And control can look like wisdom until you try to take it away. Ask the fixer to rest. He gets uncomfortable. Tell him someone else will handle it. He watches nervously. Tell him the problem can remain unsolved for a while. He almost cannot breathe, because to him, an unsolved problem is not just a problem. It is a door opening back into childhood, back to the room where nobody helped, back to the day he learned, do not cry, do not wait, do not need. Fix it. And the world applauded. so he never stopped. But here is the brutal truth. If your whole identity is built on fixing everything, then you are not free. You are useful. You are respected. You are praised. But you are not free. Because freedom means you can let something be broken without believing you are broken too. Freedom means you can say, "This is not mine to repair." Freedom means you can be loved even when you are not useful. And that is the hardest lesson for the fixer. Because deep down, he does not fear broken things. He fears that if he stops fixing, people may stop choosing him. That is the wound. The belief that your worth depends on how much you can carry. But listen carefully. You were not born to be everyone's emergency tool. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to not know. You are allowed to let someone else try. You are allowed to be more than useful. Because one day, the person who fixes everything will face the one thing he cannot repair with tools, logic, control, or competence: himself. And maybe that is where healing begins. Not when he fixes one more thing, but when he finally admits, "I am tired of being needed more than I am loved." Everyone trusts the fixer when the fire starts, but almost nobody asks, who checks if he is burning?